His hand is at my throat, breath harsh against my cheek, the temple's final pillar, glowing with my name. If only one of us can leave. His voice is barely above a whisper. Then why did you save me? The chill of stone presses into my back. I never meant for it to be him. 3 hours ago, neither of us had touched the last pillar. My name is carved into stone, not just scratched, scored deep, bold, like someone wanted to make sure the temple would never forget me. 11 other names curve around the pillar, all slashed out. Only mine survives. Why? I trace the groove of my name. My fingertip comes away dusty. Maybe it's just old ash, maybe not. The fog hugs the flagstones, thick and damp, swallowing up the courtyard until it feels like the world ends 5 steps away. Somewhere behind me, a pebble skitters. I jump. Pathetic. I turn, stealing a shaky breath. That's when I see him. Aldrich. Platinum blonde undercut. Broad-shouldered, cut from rival sect nightmares. The kind of guy who makes you believe in cautionary tales. He moves through the fog like it owes him money. Silver embroidery flashes at his cuffs. His boots don't slip. He's standing right in front of my pillar now. Our names are side by side. His, sharp and fresh. Mine, the only one not slashed. I'm so busy staring I almost miss the look he gives me. Steel gray eyes, cool and flat, like I'm a problem to solve or a bug to squash. I hope for problem. Bugs get stepped on. He says nothing at first. Just studies me. I try not to wilt. He glances at the names, jaw tight. My palms sweat. Does he know why we're the last ones? Because I sure as hell don't.
You, stand over there.
He points. No, commands. Like I'm just another temple cat. His words are sharp stone, and it hurts how fast I obey. I move to the spot he marks, feet heavy, humiliation crawling up my spine. I try to look casual, as if being bossed around in a cursed temple is just my new hobby. Aldrich circles the pillars, slow, deliberate. He never looks back at me, as if I'm beneath notice now that I followed orders. Something ugly turns in my stomach. Is this what expendable feels like? I glance at the other names, all violently crossed out. Will I end up like them? He stops, close enough that I feel the cold rolling off his coat. I can count the breaths between us. His are steady, mine are a mess. He doesn't touch me. Doesn't have to. Just being in his shadow is enough to make me hyper-aware of every shiver, every inch of space I can't claim.
Don't move.
It's not a threat, but it's not kindness either. My jaw clenches, but I nod. Not because I want to, because I don't have a choice. He could say kneel, and my knees would probably betray me on the spot. I hate that. His gaze lingers on our names. For a second, his brow furrows, almost a crack in the armor. But it's gone before I can be sure. I want to ask why we're the only ones left, but fear snaps my question in half. When he finally turns from the pillar, my eyes catch on a faint blue rune flickering at the edge of the stone. It sputters, then strengthens. A warning or a countdown? I have no clue. The ground shifts beneath me. Not an earthquake. No, the flagstone literally moves, sliding under my heel. I flinch, struggle to keep my balance, arms windmilling. I nearly fall. He doesn't help. Doesn't even flinch. I right myself alone, cheeks burning. Not from danger, from having to save face in front of someone who would have watched me hit the ground and probably scored it a 5 out of 10. The injustice stings sharper than the fear. I want to snap at him, but the words die on my tongue. Instead, I glare at my own name in the stone. Mocking, permanent, a brand I never asked for.
Stay where I can see you.
The instruction is simple. The message is clear. I belong to this place, and to his authority. My freedom is gone, traded for a stranger's contempt and the temple's curse. A soft hiss interrupts. A pale gray temple cat slips from the fog, green eyes gleaming, blue ribbon fluttering. It circles my ankles, then sits between us, tail wrapped neat. The creature stares up at Aldrich, then at me, judgmental as any elder. Not even the wildlife is on my side. I stand there, cold, angry, and stuck. I can't leave this pillar. I can't ask why. The temple's runes crawl brighter, casting warped shadows on the ruined stone. I don't know what happens when the last name is crossed out. I only know I'm not ready for mine to be next. Aldrich steps closer, his voice low.
Only one name survives.
My heart stutters. Then the stone beneath my feet lurches again, harder this time, with a grinding shriek and a flash of blue light that turns everything to ash and panic. Blue spectral glow pulses under my boots. Each rune writhes, crawling up the fractured flagstones, skittering between the 12 stone pillars like live veins. My name, Ren, is etched deep, still glowing. Still untouched, but the rest slashed through, one by one. And behind us, the temple's entrance has decided it's done with guests. Doors slam shut, the kind of grinding that makes your teeth want to vibrate out of your skull. Aldrich doesn't flinch. Of course not. He just surveys the perimeter, scanning runes like he's reading a grocery list instead of a countdown to certain doom. I force my shoulders back, mostly to look less like a terrified squirrel and more like someone qualified to be here. The air stinks of burned stone and candle wax. No way out. Not unless the cat knows a secret passage and he's too busy grooming his tail on top of my pillar, judgy as ever. Under my feet, the runes stutter. Bright, then dim, then bright again. The light sears the edge of my vision, almost alive, and I wonder, if I stepped off, would it erase me too? I don't test the theory. Aldrich circles each pillar, trailing his ring finger along the carved names. He's careful. Too careful. I try to sound casual, or at least like someone who hasn't already mentally written 3 dramatic death monologues. So, we're officially locked in. Love that for us. Aldrich pauses at the pillar with his name. The glow catches on his silver embroidery, turns his jacket into a constellation of old regrets. He presses his ring finger to the stone. Just once. A faint mark scorches the surface, so quick and subtle I nearly miss it. If I hadn't been watching, I'd swear it never happened.
One rule. Only one name leaves this place.
His voice is low. It slides under my skin, cold as the flagstones. That sentence shouldn't hit as hard as it does, but there's nowhere for the words to go except in rattling around with the panic I've been curling into a neat little ball since sunrise. Only one? So, teamwork is officially off the table. Great. I stare at my own name, at the way the light flickers and shivers around it. I want to make some epic speech about fate, but mostly what comes out is, what happens if neither of us dies? Do we just rot here? Aldrich's jaw tightens. For a second, I think he might actually answer. Instead, he steps closer. He's taller than the pillars, too close. I can smell candle wax and something sharper. Ozone, maybe, from the runes sizzling at his feet.
Don't test it.
Not a threat, not a comfort either. Just a fact, dressed up as a warning. The space between us is filled with blue light and questions I'm afraid to ask. The countdown runes shift again, numbers I can't read whirling in impossible patterns. My brain supplies helpful narration. You are here. Please await incineration. I almost laugh. Instead, I cough, because apparently my only defense mechanism is to make things awkward. Magical death games. Because normal cult initiation would be too basic. He doesn't smile, but something flickers in his eyes, like a shadow catching on water, gone too fast to name. I wonder if that almost smile is reserved for people he doesn't have to kill. This dark, deadly game keeps getting more intense. If you want to see what happens next, hit subscribe. Now, back to the story. Aldrich turns away. He moves toward the nearest rune, boots silent on the chilled flagstone. I notice. The cat's ears flatten, just for a beat, and then I swear the runes brighten as Aldrich passes, like they're reacting to him. Or maybe warning him. He beckons me. No words this time. Just a sharp jerk of his head, as if he's done waiting for me to catch up. My legs move before my brain can veto the idea. The door is gone. The runes are counting down. And I'm following a guy who just marked his own name on the pillar, like he's leaving a signature only the temple will ever read. I have no idea what happens at 0, but the way Aldrich glances back at me, jaw set and eyes hard, I know 2 things. He's not telling me everything, and if I want to survive, I need to keep up. The runes flare, burning brighter. Then the ground beneath us shudders, and something cracks in the stone. The stairwell is narrower than I am comfortable with. It twists down, each flagstone slick with something that smells like burned stone and old secrets. The torch Aldrich carries throws flickering shadows across the walls. Not that I'm watching him, obviously. Except that I am, because he's the only thing between me and face-planting into whatever fresh temple horror lies below. The door sealed behind us with a grinding finality that vibrated up my spine, like the temple's way of saying, "Surprise, no refunds." Of course he doesn't. He just moves. One hand steady on the rough carving of the rail, the other lifting the torch higher, blue firelight catching the silver on his jacket. The light makes his jaw look brutal, unyielding, and I have an absolutely normal reaction to that, which is to nearly miss a step. The air tastes like musty parchment and candle wax. I try not to think about what else it might taste like if the temple gets bored. We hit the bottom. The corridor ahead is a slit carved through stone, barely wide enough for 2, but not quite cozy. Golden runes sizzle along the far wall, illuminating the real party trick. Blades. Real, actual, what is this, a video game swinging blades, slicing through the air just above knee height, and again at chest. The hiss is sharper than anything I've ever heard, and I'm pretty sure my heart just tried to file for early retirement. Aldrich pauses, studying the pattern. He doesn't sigh, doesn't glance back, but his shoulders shift, the barest roll like even he's not thrilled about this. Injustice, sponsored by temple architecture. I'd ask why the universe hates me, but I already know. It's personal. He steps forward.
Stay close.
2 words, and they land somewhere between an order and a lifeline. My brain short-circuits, trying to decide if I'm supposed to be grateful, offended, or both. That voice, low, edged, like he's holding back a storm. The first blade swings. It inhales the air, misses Aldrich by the width of a lie. He doesn't flinch, just watches the rhythm, waits, then steps through cleanly. I count to 3 and follow, which is when my boot catches the edge of a pressure plate I definitely did not see. The floor lurches, metal shrieks. My hand shoots out, not to be dramatic, but because I genuinely like having all my limbs attached, and I catch something solid, Aldrich's wrist. His skin is colder than the flagstones, but his grip, when he catches me back, is unyielding and far too steady. For a second, time bottlenecks. His eyes meet mine, steel gray and unreadable. The blade slices the air just behind my ear. Hiss. I don't breathe. Not for the drama, but because I physically can't. Every inch of me is aware of the exact distance between our bodies. Too close. Not close enough.
Move when I say.
The command is rough, clipped, but he doesn't let go. His hand on my wrist is a promise that he will drag my sorry self through if it kills him. I would make a joke, but I'm too busy not dying. He mutters under his breath, words I almost catch, numbers, directions, a pattern. Almost like he's done this before. Not suspicious at all. My heart is a percussion section, my thoughts a full-blown conspiracy board. How does he know which tiles will trigger which blades? Who designed this maze with me in mind? And why do I care how his thumb is pressed over my pulse point? Another hiss. This one closer. I duck, instinct, and nearly headbutt his shoulder. He grunts, shifts, positions himself between me and the next arc of steel. Fine. If we're doing this, might as well make it entertaining. You know, you really need to work on your bedside manner. He doesn't answer, not with words. Just his grip tightening, a fractional pause before he eases me forward. But he doesn't let go, not even as we slide past another blade, my shoulder barely scraping the rough pillar. In the patch of blue glow ahead, the temple cat sits primly, tail flicking, eyes judging, as if to say, "Why are you two so slow?"
Next turn. Left. 3 steps.
I move, because what's the alternative? The hiss of another blade reminds me, not moving means not existing. I think about the runes, about Aldrich's muttering, about how none of this feels like a fair fight. Was this test meant for me to fail? Or just to see how far I'd go before asking for help? We reach the end of the corridor. My legs feel like someone else's. I'm still gripping his sleeve when the wall ahead splits open with a groan of stone. Not an exit, but another question waiting to eat us alive. And Aldrich finally lets go. Dust spirals in the gold torchlight as I stagger into the library. My boots catch on a ridge in the chilled flagstone. I blink, and shelves soar overhead, so tall the upper rows disappear into darkness. The smell, musty parchment and something halfway between burned stone and candle wax, sticks in the back of my throat. I try to cough quietly, which, shocker, is not possible after nearly dying in a hallway of spinning knives. Aldrich brushes past. No scraped knuckles, no sign he's winded, just frost personified in a black jacket. Jaw locked tight. He doesn't acknowledge me. He never does, unless I'm bleeding, apparently. There's a long, ancient bench in the center, splintered wood and a scattering of old tablets. I'm still half wondering how he managed not to lose an ear in the blade gauntlet when I spot the next insult. Only one spot left to sit, and it's at his side, close enough our knees might actually touch. I hesitate. Pride and stupidity are neck and neck for the finish.
Sit. Now.
I'd love to say I ignore him. Instead, I'm sitting before I know it, knee knocking into his for a millisecond. Enough for a jolt of something like static to zip up my thigh. I shift, but the bench is so narrow that pretending we're not pressed together just makes it more obvious. I open my mouth and close it. The words won out anyway. Explain. You knew about the blades. You know too much. His fingers tighten around the edge of the bench. He doesn't look at me.
Not your concern.
A flicker of blue light erupts on the stone tablet in front of us, runes twisting into the words of my sect's oath. Betray your kin, and the temple devours your name. Great. Public loyalty test, sponsored by the folks who brought you death corridors and emotional constipation. I glance at Aldrich. He isn't reading, but he's tense, shoulders drawn tight as trapwire. The injustice of it stings my own temple's motto, co-opted to force my hand. I snap. Is that what they did to you? Used you as a weapon against your own people? He finally meets my eyes. There's a storm in the steel gray, but I can't read if it's anger, pain, or just boredom with my existence.
You talk too much.
That's rich coming from a guy who's allergic to complete sentences. My pulse lurches, not just from his words, but from the space between us. So small now I can feel the heat radiating from his shoulder. Something thumps onto the table. Fur, pale gray, a flash of green eyes, and a faded blue ribbon. The temple cat. It lands squarely between us, tail curling around my wrist. I nearly jump off the bench, which would be peak Ren. Except Aldrich startles too, his composure shattering for half a beat. The cat circles his boots like it owns him, ignoring me completely. I watch Aldrich's fingers twitch. Just once before he covers it by brushing non-existent dust from his sleeve. The cat purrs, a deep ancient rumble, and the next tablet glows to life, text forming in runes I barely recognize. A choice. It's my sect's loyalty, my name on the line, and the temple wants blood. Again, my voice comes out low, steady, but my insides are pulling in every direction. I'm not going to betray myself just because they want a spectacle. Aldrich's gaze flickers, like he wasn't expecting me to say it.
Then you'll lose.
Heat creeps up my neck. I'm not sure if it's anger or, God help me, admiration. The air is thick with musty parchment, flickering blue light and every word unsaid. Even the cat seems to be watching, waiting for whichever of us breaks first. I want to ask him, how many times has he sat on this bench before? What did the temple take from him, really? But the room shifts, a low grinding of stone echoing through the shelves, and the next test begins before I can say anything else. We're trapped together, closer than ever, and with nowhere left to run. The stone floor pressed cold against my hip, but I refused to shiver. Not when Aldrich sat barely an arm's length away, his back braced against a splintered bench. Candlelight blurred at the edge of my vision, flickering across the mess of parchment and ancient tablets between us. It stank of musty parchment and something sharper. Burned stone, or maybe the sour note of nerves I couldn't scrub from my skin. Why was he here? I didn't know. Somewhere in the shelves, the temple cat's green eyes caught what little light there was, watching, judging. Typical. I picked at a ragged edge of parchment, trying not to look at Aldrich's hands. He had them folded, knuckles pale as bone. The blue flame of the nearest candle trembled, catching just enough to turn his steel-gray eyes into something almost dangerous. Or maybe I just needed it to be danger. Safer that way. So, we're trapped, I said, because the silence was making my teeth itch. But then, a flicker of doubt. Was this really the worst? Or was something else waiting in the shadows?
Nightfall is a curse here.
Right. All the daylight gone, swallowed without warning when we stepped inside. No way back to the main hall, not unless the temple decided to spit us out like bad food. I let the silence stretch, waiting for him to add something. He didn't. Typical Aldrich. Let the world burn and only raise an eyebrow. I dragged my knees up to my chest, feeling the chill from the flagstones sink in. You ever get used to being a name on a wall? I heard my own voice, too sharp, too casual for a question that felt like being skinned alive. He didn't answer. Instead, the candle guttered, and for a heartbeat his eyes flashed mirror bright. I hated how it made my chest tighten. Or maybe I just hated that I noticed.
No one does.
He looked at me, direct as a knife. I looked away first. The stone pillar with my name on it felt 1,000 miles away now, but a part of me still heard the echo. Only one may leave. I tried on a laugh. It came out thin. Figures. Would be nice to know someone remembered us after the temple had its fun. The cat wound between us, tail flicking against my boot. I reached down, half expecting it to bolt. It didn't. Just looked up, unimpressed. Same. If I died here, this egotistical furball would mourn me for exactly the length of time it took to find my body warm. Aldrich's hand shifted, fingers brushing the back of mine. No excuse. No object to pass. No blade to steady. Just contact. Deliberate, uncertain. The library shrank to that single point of heat on my skin. My brain glitched. I forgot speech. He pulled away as if scorched. The candlelight caught in his eyes again, cold metal with something burning underneath. A question pushed against my teeth. I almost swallowed it. Didn't. Why are you really here, Aldrich? You act like you've seen all this before. I didn't know what I expected. Maybe a lie. Maybe silence. But I needed to hear it. He didn't blink. For a second, I thought he'd lie. Or worse, Say nothing.
Because I have.
Everything slowed. The hairs on my arms stood up, prickled by something colder than the flagstones. I thought of all the times he'd known which runes could be stepped on and which doors would slam shut. The way he'd touch the pillar, not with awe, but with memory. I should have pressed, demanded details. Instead, all I managed was, "That's not possible." Aldrich's jaw worked, like he was straining to hold back more than words.
Doesn't matter. You're here now.
Every answer added another riddle. I could feel the story knotting tighter, threads I wasn't sure I even wanted to untangle. I rested my chin on my knees, staring at the stained glass window. The candle guttered again, shadows warping the colored glass, but a sudden streak split the sky outside, a shooting star cutting through the ink above the pillars. For one breathless moment, everything was washed in silver and blue. I almost reached for Aldrich's hand again. Almost. Instead, I said, "You don't have to be alone in the dark, you know." The words felt dangerous, like stepping onto a rune I couldn't see. Aldrich didn't answer. The candlelight caught in his eyes one last time. Steel, flame, something almost raw, and then he looked away. The cat yawned, exposing fangs, and I wondered if I'd just made a mistake that couldn't be taken back. If trusting my rival was the stupidest thing I'd ever done, or the only thing that might save me. Blue spectral glow sputters across the library floor, catching the edge of my boot. The air tastes of burned stone and something sharper, like singeing ozone maybe, but I'm not licking the walls to check. Pity. That could at least distract me from the part where the flagstones under my hands are colder than regret. The ground rumbles. No warning. Just the world splitting like a bad joke at my expense. Shelves grind apart with a thunder that rattles the old tablets. And probably my bones. A mirror slides down between us, smooth as glass, cutting Aldrich away in one blink. Gone. His half of the room vanishing into blue fog. No time for a wait, or even a melodramatic farewell wave. It's just me, the stone, and my reflection. Except, the reflection doesn't move like it should. My own face, but older. Angry. His storm gray shirt is ripped at the collar, and there, above the hollow of his throat, a scar I don't remember ever having, but it feels wrong, familiar, and my skin aches just looking at it. The illusion speaks first, voice flat and tired. He says my name like he's spitting out a pit.
You're always the one left behind.
I'd love to argue, but my lips refuse to move. I try to stand, and the cold from the flagstones eats up my knees. Not dramatic, just weak. Classic. The library shifts, the air thick with musty parchment and old candle wax. Somewhere a rune crackles. My reflection grows sharper, his jaw set in that way Aldrich's does when he's holding back what he actually wants to say. The echo is too specific. It's almost funny. The universe could have conjured up any nightmare, and it chose me, being abandoned. If this trial wanted originality, it should have signed up for a creative writing course. I lock eyes with myself and the temperature seems to drop. My chest unwinds, old embarrassment crackling in my ribs. I remember a boy with pale hair walking away from me, not looking back. That memory has teeth. My double speaks again, softer now.
No one stays, Ren. Not even him.
I want to scream, or punch the glass, or do something impressively cathartic. Instead, my hand just scrapes against the chilled stone. Fingers numb. The cold bites harder where skin meets flagstone, and my reflection smiles, sad and sharp. Then the illusion flickers. For a second, the scar glows the same blue as the runes Aldrich keeps hidden under his collar. I blink, and the walls shudder. The mirror fractures, spiderweb cracks racing across that lying face. The stone splits open with a scream like grinding teeth. Through the shards, I catch Aldrich, pale, breathless, one hand braced against the wall, eyes wild and far away. He staggers toward me as the wall collapses, blue light strobing over the ruined floor. I'm shivering, but not from the cold. Not only the cold. Aldrich kneels, his broad shadow blotting out the worst of the light. His palm finds my wrist, warm, steady, deliberate. Not an accident this time. Not for show. It's an anchor, heavy and real, and the chill where skin meets stone ebbs. My breath hitches. I wish I could blame the trial.
You're here.
That's it. 2 words, rough at the edges, like he chewed them instead of saying them. I want to laugh or cry or snap something clever, but all I manage is to stare at his hand on mine. The contact burns in a way winter never could. I look up. Aldrich's steel gray eyes are rimmed with something raw. Defeat? Maybe? Or relief edged with guilt.
They made me choose. Again.
The echo of my own trial rings in his words. Betrayal. Alone. I realize he's shaking, just slightly, and for once I don't try to make a joke out of it. He lets go first, like touching me cost him, or maybe saved him. I can't tell which. The temple cat emerges from the swirling blue haze, tail high, completely unimpressed by our shared trauma. He leaps onto my lap, fur shockingly warm against my thighs. I let myself melt into the small comfort. Aldrich's glare warns the cat off, as if feline disapproval might actually matter right now.
He'll never listen.
My lips twitch, something almost like a smile fighting through the cracks. If the universe wants irony, fine. I'll take it. But under the cat's purr, I keep thinking of that scar. The one the illusion wore, and Aldrich still tries to hide. For the first time, I wonder whose memory it really is. Blue light crawls over Aldrich's face, sharp and uneven, like it's trying to decide if he's a ghost or a statue. We crouch in a stone alcove, overlooking the empty pillars and the runes below, the whole temple humming in the bones of my skull. The scent of burned stone and old parchment clings to the air, mixing with something harsher, ozone, hot and metallic, right where the wound slices across my forearm. I don't know why I didn't notice it before. Something about the air feels wrong. There are only 2 names left on the pillars now. His and mine. I keep thinking if I stare hard enough at the runes, I'll see a loophole. But they just throb with that blue spectral glow, ticking down to something none of us can walk away from. I glance sideways. Aldrich's profile is all forged lines and tension, platinum hair catching silver from some impossible angle. His hands, those hands that pinned me down in the Chamber of Blades, that found the pressure point in my wrist like he was born to break people, now rest on his knees. Still. Too still. I break first. Classic. You're going to let it kill you, aren't you? He doesn't answer, but the muscle in his jaw shifts. A little betrayal from the king of self-control. The alcove is just wide enough for the 2 of us. Not an accident. I shift, and the blue light pools between us.
One of us has to survive.
There's no way to read the tone. Flat. Final. Like he's already decided, I try not to sound desperate, but my voice wobbles anyway. Why you? Why not me? He turns, slow, the blue glow catching in his eyes. For a second, I'm not sure he'll bother responding. He does.
It should be you.
I feel that in the softest part of my chest, in places I thought the temple already scraped raw. That simple. That cruel. Like he's offering me mercy and a funeral at the same time. I want to punch him. Or laugh. Or maybe just let him. That's not your decision, I say. It comes out sharp, but my hand shakes when I press it to the wound. Blood slicks my palm, sticky against chilled flagstone. Of course, I'm bleeding out during a philosophical argument. Aldrich watches the blood drip, his face set. Then, not asking, he grabs my wrist. Gentle, for once. The touch is warm, too careful. His thumb brushes against skin, tracing the line of the cut, The temple's cold, but I swear I feel heat blooming out from his hand, like the runes have set something on fire beneath my skin.
Don't make this harder.
His words are sandpaper. It's the way he looks away that ruins me. Not the touch, not the pain. The fact that he can't meet my eyes, like what he's doing is worse than the wound. I want to ask how many times he's bandaged injuries that should have belonged to him. I want to scream at him to stop playing martyr. I settle for the world's bravest attempt at a joke. Let me guess. You're planning to sacrifice yourself and leave me to write the epic poem? The cat, somewhere behind us, purrs once in disapproval. Even the temple knows I'm stalling. Aldrich binds the cut with cloth torn from his own sleeve. His fingers are deft, practiced, not the first time he's done this. But the blue glow paints his knuckles, makes them look almost translucent, like someone who's fading. He looks at me then. Really looks. His eyes are old, and his expression is something I can't untangle. Regret and relief wrapped in steel.
You're stronger than you think.
That's supposed to be encouragement, but it lands like a death sentence. My mouth goes dry. I want to argue. Instead, I stare back, and I see it. The briefest flicker of pain before the mask goes up again. He looks at me like we've had this fight before. Like I already lost. Somewhere on the pillar our names burn brighter, runes flaring blue-white. The temple hums, impatient. I feel the countdown in my bones. One of us will be gone before the next dawn. Aldrich's hand lingers on mine. He doesn't let go. And for the first time, I wonder what he's hiding from me, and why the thought of surviving feels so much like losing. Blue spectral fire surges across the courtyard, slicing through the darkness in jagged lines. The air claws at my throat, singed O's, burned stone, the kind of heat that peels the inside of your lungs raw. Every breath tastes like punishment. Somewhere behind me, a pillar cracks, the sound sickening like bones grinding. If the temple wanted subtlety, it should have sent a polite earthquake. I'm already running before I realize my body made the choice. Boots skid on chilled flagstones, every muscle screaming warning, because the next leap could be my last. I try to spot Aldrich, but all I see is blue fire reflecting off splintered pillars, off sweat on my own shaking hands. There's no cover, just ruin and heat and the breath of something ancient feasting on panic. The temple cat slips past, pale gray, fur streaked with dust, eyes like a curse. He moves like none of this matters. I envy him for precisely 2 seconds. A pillar slams down 10 paces ahead, sending runes crackling and a spray of stone chips at my face. I duck. Too slow. Grit. Scraping my cheek. My name is probably being inscribed on a fresh gravestone right now. Here lies Ren, roasted idiot, failed protagonist, mildly allergic to death beams. I stagger, vision blurring in the blue light. The air stings. My lungs bitch about the smoke, but I can't stop. Not with the ceiling fracturing and the world burning sideways. Another crack, closer this time. My eyes finally lock on Aldrich through the fire. Tall, impossible, silver embroidery glinting through the chaos. He's running toward me. That's the wrong direction. The exit's behind him, and if he's coming this way, he's either stupid or... No, wait. He's definitely stupid. He doesn't shout, never does. He just moves, coat swirling, face locked in that unreadable scowl. For a second, I think maybe he's here to kill me. That would be, thematically appropriate. Then, a beam splinters above me. My brain registers move, about 3 seconds too late. Aldrich barrels into me shoulder first, hard enough that the air leaves my chest in a rush. He's not gentle. He yanks me down, shoving me against the flagstones as the pillar crashes, missing us by a breath and a bad decision. The heat is unreal. Blue fire licks inches from my arm. So close, I swear it tattoos itself into my skin. His body is pressed to mine, heavy, solid, every nerve howling about the proximity. His breath is ragged, chest against my back, hand braced over my head. I can feel his pulse through the grip on my wrist, frantic, nothing like the glacial monster he pretends to be. The world shrinks. It's just his weight, his scent, cold morning dew, smoke, adrenaline, and the fire chewing away the rest of reality. I forget how to breathe. My cheek is mashed against embroidered cloth and the stupid stone is digging into my hip, and there's nowhere to look that isn't him. He doesn't move, not for a full, unmerciful second.
If you die, I die.
That drops like a blade, like an accusation, like a secret he's been holding in his teeth all this time. I want to say something brave or clever. Save the dramatics for after the fire, thanks. But my mouth is dry and my brain is busy trying to process the fact that Aldrich just admitted, in front of the universe and the cat, that I'm not just a convenient rival. He lets go of my wrist, but his hand stays close, hovering as if debating whether to grab me again or let me burn. His knuckles are white, jaw locked so tight I'm surprised his teeth don't shatter. Obnoxious survival instinct kicks in. I cough smoke, try to wriggle out, but he pins me with a glare that says move and I will personally end you. I'm not sure if he's protecting me or using me as a shield. Could be both. That's the problem with emotionally constipated heroes. I swallow, tongue thick. Time for a little comic relief, because if I don't, I'll start screaming. Didn't know you cared so much. Should I be flattered or worried? He stares at me like I've just recited the temple's dirtiest secret.
Get up. We move together.
His voice is hoarse. He pulls me up, his grip rough, but there's a tremor. Just for a second. He hates that I catch it. The fire closes in, blue tongues hissing, runes on the flagstone sparking in frantic patterns. The cat stands on a toppled bench, tail flicking, green eyes narrowing. He knows the odds better than either of us. Aldrich tugs me closer, which is new. He doesn't let go even when we're both upright. There's no time to be awkward, but every inch between us feels like an accusation. Why is he risking everything? Why am I letting him? The ruin is collapsing. Pillars buckle, stone grinding shut behind us. If we don't run now, we're done. He looks at me, a question burning in the lines of his face. Not will you follow, but will you fight for both of us? I can't decide. If I let him throw himself into the fire for me, am I just as bad as the temple? But if I hold him back, maybe we both die. The fire leaps higher. His fingers tighten on mine. And for the first time I realize, maybe there is a way for both of us to survive. But if there is, the temple's about to make us bleed for it. The scent of burned stone lingers sharp in my throat as I crouch at the base of the last pillar, knees pressed to chilled flagstones. Gold firelight from the runes spills over my hands, trembling slightly. I tilt my head, squinting at the carving. My name, Aldrich's name, not crossed out, not even side by side, twined together, tangled in a single glowing line. I almost laugh. Except this isn't funny. I've seen other names slashed through, erased, obliterated. Not this. Never this. Aldrich's shadow falls over me, all sharp angles and controlled quiet. He doesn't say anything. Not at first. Just stands there, eyes tracking over the same inscription. The pressure in my chest spikes hot and breathless. I have spent the entire trial convinced the universe would erase me with a single flick of celestial pettiness. But something about this inscription feels wrong. A question I didn't know I was asking. The temple cat threads between our legs, tail flicking against my calf, purring a low, smug rumble. I want to ask if cats recognize fate, or if they just nap through it. Aldrich crouches beside me, bringing that controlled, unsettling calm into my airspace. He leans in close, closer than he's ever dared. I catch the faint smell of candle wax and ozone riding his jacket. His thumb brushes my jaw, tentative. Warmth floods beneath my skin, electric and absurdly stupidly welcome. I flinch, but I don't pull away. I'm not even sure I could.
You see it too.
His voice is rougher than usual, like he's been swallowing flint. I nod, or maybe I just stop breathing. The runes crackle, gold spiraling brighter around our names.
It never looked like this before.
I blink. Before. The word hangs heavy and wrong. My mind spins, flips through all the ways before could mean everything and nothing. Did I miss a memo? Is there a secret trial newsletter I wasn't subscribed to? And why does this inscription feel like a trap? He doesn't move his hand from my face. In fact, his palm curves, gentle but terribly deliberate, along my jaw. My brain short-circuits. I have thought a lot about what it would feel like to be held. Not once did I imagine being steadied by Aldrich, with blue firelight painting both our skin and the universe threatening to implode overhead. My mouth is dry. I try for humor. Default survival mechanism. Remind me. How many times have you survived being magically stapled to your rival before breakfast? His lips twitch. Not quite a smile. But his eyes, steel gray catching the glow, are unguarded for the first time since I met him.
Too many. Never long enough.
The words crack something inside me. I want to laugh, or scream, or maybe crawl out of my own skin. Wait, you're telling me you remember this? All of it?
Every cycle. The trials. You. The endings.
My pulse stutters. That explains the haunted look, the way he always seemed to step ahead, the quiet, desperate protectiveness I only noticed after most of my dignity burned away. For once, I can't find a sarcastic retort. I want to ask why it never worked before, but my tongue is glued to the roof of my mouth. He strokes his thumb over my cheekbone, soft as a secret. The heat of his palm becomes the only real thing. The fire around the pillar is fading, the smell of singed ozone giving way to something sweeter, like the first page of a book cracked open in morning light.
We always lose each other.
If he keeps talking like that, I'm going to combust faster than the runes. The cat rubs insistently against my boot, purring louder, like it's congratulating us for getting a clue. I focus on the inscription, searching for a loophole. Maybe we're not meant to win alone. Maybe that's the trick.
The pillars answer to true names, not the ones we're given.
It clicks. This whole trial, names erased, alliances shattered. Nothing ever sticking. The truth hiding in plain sight. The runes glow brighter where our names twist together, as if daring me to speak the word I've forgotten. I look up, heart in my throat. What's my real name? The question trembles, hungry, hanging between us. Aldrich's gaze latches onto mine. His hand doesn't leave my face. If anything, his hold strengthens a promise and a plea.
If you trust me, I'll show you.
The firelight sputters, the cat's purr rattling through the hush. For once, the world holds its breath, and I have no idea if that's hope or doom waiting for me on the other side. The chisel shakes in my grip, sweat and blood mixing where steel bites my palm. I press my thumb down hard, smearing red against the untouched stone. The blue spectral glow flickers across the pillar, painting my skin sickly and strange. The echo of runes crackling overhead sends a shiver down my spine. Aldrich stands close, too close, barely breathing, cold morning dew clinging to his jacket. The scent of burned parchment hangs between us, acrid and sharp. The cat's eyes, pale and unblinking, reflect the runes like slivers of broken glass. I want to laugh, or cry, or maybe just drop the chisel and let the stone win. One name must be erased. The temple's final rule. My hand trembles, not from the pain. If I hesitate, we both die. If I carve Aldrich's name, I live alone. But what if I carve mine? I vanish, and he remains. Cold, unreadable, hiding how close he is to breaking. He's watching me. Not the stone, not the chisel. Me. Always me.
Don't.
The smallest word, It lands like a weight on the back of my neck. I want to fight him, but my hand's already curling tighter, knuckles white, and I can't meet his eyes. Of course he'd say that. He'd rather burn than accept mercy. I know this script. The doomed hero. The sacrifice, the survivor haunted by his choices. Guess which one I'm supposed to play?
Give it to me.
So much in 4 syllables. Give it to me. I'm supposed to obey. That's what people do when he commands. Except I'm not people, or disciple, or even whatever reincarnated pawn the temple thinks I am now. I'm just tired. I hold out the chisel, just long enough to prove I'm not afraid. The metal's sticky with blood, warmth fading fast. He doesn't take it. His hand hovers, then closes over mine instead. Fingers rough, calloused, but careful. So careful, as if he's holding something breakable. The cat stands, tail flicking, watching like a judge at an execution. I should say something clever, or brave. Instead, I do what I always do. Deflect.
If you let go, I'm dropping it.
My voice cracks. Beautiful. Now he'll think I'm weak.
I won't.
His grip tightens, and I feel the pressure building. The chisel clatters against the pillar, echoing through the empty corridor. Runes crackle. Old blood smears across the inscription. My name and his, side by side, the only ones left unscarred. I want to blame him. I want to blame everyone who left us here. Every name already carved and crossed out. Every disciple who didn't survive. But the real joke? I already saw this ending. Flashes. Me, kneeling here. Hand in his, stone cold beneath my skin. A history I never lived but somehow remember. I was always the one meant to die. Except, in every vision, Aldrich never let go. It would be easier if he hated me, if he wanted this. But his jaws tight, eyes steeled, veins standing out stark along his wrist. I can't look away. Last chance to play villain, I say. Erase me and walk out a legend. The temple loves a tragic story.
You're not disposable.
That's new. For a second, I forget how to breathe. Not because it's romantic, because it's dangerous. The temple wants blood, not defiance. I could just do it. Press the chisel in, carve away a single half of a name, end it, and maybe my ghosts go quiet. But my hand stays frozen. His grip tightens, and it feels like all the warmth in this cursed place is pooled under his palm. All at once, I'm back at the beginning. The first pillar, my hand in his, everything the same except nothing is. You know what would really piss off the temple? My voice is too loud, reckless with fear. We carve a third name. Both of us. One fate. Aldrich blinks, a muscle in his jaw twitching.
That's not in the rules.
No, it isn't. I press the chisel to the stone, both our hands tangled, blood smearing our joined fingers, but neither were we. He doesn't answer. He just leans in, forehead pressed to mine, breath coming hard, blue spectral light catching silver in his hair. For the first time, his mask cracks wide open, and all I see is hope. Or fear. Or both. Somewhere behind us, the cat purrs, low and certain, as if he knew all along. The chisel bites the stone. The pillar hums, runes flaring. Above the inscription, I carve the first letter of a new name. Ours, combined. The temple trembles. The crack spreads, and I don't know if we've saved each other or doomed us both. Aldrich's hand stays on mine. The pillar splinters. The world holds its breath, waiting to see if the stone will accept our defiance or crush us for daring to hope. Dew soaks straight through my shirt, cold and clingy against my skin. I stumble as my boots hit the last flagstone, blue runes still whirling behind my eyes like afterburn. My shoulder bumps Aldrich, hard, not elegant, but I don't let go. The temple doors are split wide open, slabs of stone grinding apart so loud it rattles teeth. Just moments ago, they should have locked us in forever. That was how it always went. 2 names enter, 1 erased. Except this time, our names burned together, spiraling until I couldn't tell where his ended and mine began. Still, the doors opened. Not for us to die, but to walk out, together. I'm not sure if that's a glitch or a miracle. Aldrich breathes out, a sound too human for the guy who is supposed to be my executioner. He barely sways, but his hand stays on my back, anchoring me against the tremor in my legs.
You're shaking.
He says it like an accusation, or a secret. I want to snap back, but all I manage is a half hiss between my teeth. My mind scrabbles for my name, my real name, the one I brought here, and comes up empty, blank where it shouldn't be. I expect panic, but mostly there's static, and under the static, the shape of the name Aldrich gave me, Ren, still here, echoing in the hollow spaces. The courtyard is empty. Pillars stand in silent rows. No more flickering runes. No threat. Only cold morning dew, beating on fractured stone and soaking me through. The cat weaves lazy circles between our legs, tail twitching like he owns the place. Maybe he does. I move to step away and nearly slip. My boots slide on the wet flagstones. Of course, surviving ancient temple magic only to be taken out by condensation. I laugh, and it comes out sharper than I meant. Aldrich barely glances down, but his cloak slides off his own shoulders and settles heavy around me. It's warm, carrying a trace of candle wax and something sharp, singed ozone from magic. Or maybe just him.
Don't argue.
Obeying him feels like muscle memory, but also like a dare. The first time he covered me with his cloak, it was an illusion. Comfort with teeth underneath. This time, there's only silence. And warmth.
We made it out.
His voice is low, almost suspicious of hope. I want to say something snappy like, "Speak for yourself," but it lodges in my throat. The weight of what I lost, my old name, everything before here, settles over my shoulders. But it's lighter than I thought it would be. Maybe because I kept what matters, the name Aldrich gave me, the one he refused to carve away. The temple cat stops beneath the nearest pillar and looks back, eyes gleaming gold. He slips between broken slabs and vanishes inside, tail flicking. For a second, I could swear the stone ripples, new names budding softly on the ancient surface, ours among them, half-formed and waiting. I press a hand to my chest, not sure if I expect to find a wound or a key. The cold dew soaks through the cloak, grounding me here, now instead of somewhere lost.
As long as you remember me, we win.
That line carves itself deep. It's not a promise, it's a command, or a wish, or both. I nod, because I can't trust my voice not to break. The sun peels up through pale fog, painting everything gold and new. We step forward, one awkward, matching stride at a time. Not rivals, not sacrifices, something rewritten. Behind us, the temple shifts, pillars reshaping, runes curling, secrets rebuilding. The cat's eyes glint from the darkness, watching. Another story already stirring. Ren lost one name and gained another, and Aldrich's command was the only anchor in a world that tried to erase them both. Would you have clung to a memory, or walked away instead? If this story left you rooting for impossible victories, a like lets more listeners find their own hope. Until next time, hold on to who you become, not just who you were.